In the year 2321, Earth was peaceful for the first time in centuries. Countries had stopped fighting each other, and humans had finally begun looking to the stars together. Cities floated in the sky, machines farmed the oceans, and children played under clear skies again. But everything changed when the Velari came. They didn't arrive with fire or weapons. No loud warnings, no attack ships, just a smooth silver vessel that appeared in Earth's orbit one quiet morning. The ship sent a message, not a threat, but an invitation. "We are the Velari. We have watched you. We wish to speak." Panic filled the governments of Earth, but curiosity was stronger. A council was formed quickly, made of scientists, leaders, and one man named Danil Quiet. Calm xenolinguist, Danil didn't have many medals or titles. He wasn't a soldier or a famous explorer, but he understood languages. More importantly, he listened well. The council sent him to the Earth orbit station, where the Velari ship was now waiting. He wore a simple blue suit and carried a translator on his wrist, no weapon. When the airlock opened, Danil stepped into a room filled with soft light. The walls were smooth like glass, but pulsing with gentle patterns. Then he saw them, for Velari stood in silence, tall, graceful, with pale silver skin and dark eyes like the night sky. They wore no armor, only long robes that shimmered faintly. One of them stepped forward. She was different not in size, but in presence. Her gaze met Danil's with calm strength. Her voice was musical and steady. "I'm Alari. We thank you for coming." Danil nodded politely. "I'm Danil. Earth thanks you for not destroying us." A pause. Then, a soft sound that might have been a laugh. The other Velari looked at Alari in surprise. She answered their silent questions with only a glance. That was the beginning. For the next few days, Danil stayed on the station. Every morning, he met with the Velari, and mostly with Alari. He asked questions, simple ones at first. Why had they come? What did they want? Why now? The answers were strange but honest. "We are not explorers like you," Alari said. "We learn before we travel. We watch before we speak." For almost 100 years, they had been observing Earth from afar, watching humans grow, fight, rebuild, and dream. "You are not logical," Alari admitted. "You make many mistakes, but you also make something we do not understand, hope." Danil didn't know what to say to that doubt. He showed them pictures of Earth, oceans, mountains, trees. He played music, sang old songs, and told them stories. Alari listened closely, sometimes asking why a character cried or why a hero gave up everything. For someone else, the Velari didn't cry. They didn't fall in love. Their world was built on reason and order. Emotion was seen as a weakness. But with every new story, Alari seemed more curious. One evening, Danil brought a small plant from Earth, a simple sunflower. He placed it on the table between them. "This grows toward the sun," he said. "Even if you move it, it turns back, always." Alari touched the flower gently. "Even if the sun burns it?" Danil smiled. "Especially then, after a week." Earth leaders wanted updates. They feared invasion. They didn't trust silence. But Danil gave them a strange answer. They don't want to conquer us. They want to learn from us, maybe even partner with us. That idea shocked everyone. Aliens wanting to work with humans, not control them. Still, many didn't believe it. They watched Alari with suspicion. But Danil knew something they didn't. She was learning to feel. One night, while watching old Earth films with her, Danil noticed something strange. During a sad scene, where a character died protecting a friend, Alari blinked several times. Velari didn't blink often. Danil asked softly, "Are you okay?" Alari answered, "I do not understand. Why does it hurt, even though it is not real?" Danil didn't laugh or tease her. He just said, "Because even fake love is based on something true." Alari looked at him for a long moment. That same night, Danil recorded a message to Earth's council. They came not to destroy us, but to understand us, and maybe, just maybe, they came hoping to understand something they never had connection. But trouble was coming. A human mining colony near Jupiter sent a warning. A rogue asteroid was moving fast. toward one of the Villari's quiet observation posts. The Villari saw the math no chance to escape, but the humans didn't accept that. Danil joined a volunteer team to help. Alari requested to go too. When asked why, she simply said, "I trust him," and Earth trusted her for now. As their shuttle moved toward danger, Danil sat quietly, watching stars fly past the window. Alari sat beside him, closer than usual. After a long silence, she asked, "Why do humans take risks for others?" Danil looked at her and answered, "Because we don't just survive. We care. That's what makes us human." She didn't reply, but for the first time, she rested her hand lightly on his. Danil didn't move. Somewhere far behind them, Earth waited, and somewhere ahead, something more powerful than war was forming, a bond no treaty could explain. The rescue mission to the Villari outpost near Jupiter was difficult and dangerous. The asteroid was big, over 2 kilometers wide and moving fast. No machine could stop it alone. But humans had one strength that machines didn't. They could think fast, change plans, and work together under pressure. Danil sat inside the shuttle, checking the translation system again. The crew beside him were engineers, pilots, and space miners. Tough people, brave. They were nervous, but no one said it. They had a job to do. Alari sat near him, quiet as always. Her eyes were fixed on the stars, but Danil could tell she was thinking deeply. The shuttle connected with the small Villari station just a few hours before the asteroid's expected hit. Inside, the Villari scientists were calm, but helpless. Their technology was advanced, but they never planned for such a random event. They believed the universe followed patterns. They didn't know how to fight chaos. Humans did. The miners began placing small bombs on the station's outer wall, just enough to push it off course, without destroying it. The plan was risky. One wrong move, and the whole station could explode. Danil explained the plan in simple terms. Alari watched closely. She asked only one question: why risk so much for strangers? Danil answered without thinking, "Because life is life. Doesn't matter whose it is." Alari looked at him for a long time. No words, just thought. When the final moment came, the team held their breath. The countdown started. The bombs went off. A deep rumble shook the station. Silence. Then the readings came in. The station had moved just enough. The asteroid missed by 20 kilometers. Cheers filled the comms. Humans laughed and hugged. Even some of the Villari clapped slowly, confused, but grateful. Danil turned to Alari, expecting her usual quiet look, but instead, she did something unexpected. She smiled. It wasn't wide. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Danil smiled back. "See, chaos can be beautiful too." Alari replied, "Perhaps." Back on Earth orbit station, Danil and Alari were welcomed like heroes. But behind the smiles, tension was growing. Some leaders didn't like what they saw. "Too close," they said. "He's getting emotionally involved. She's changing," others whispered. "She's not acting like a Villari anymore." The Earth Council called Danil for a private meeting. "You've built a strong connection with this alien," one of the older members said. "Too strong." Danil kept his voice calm. "We've learned more about each other in days than we did in years of watching from a distance." Another leader leaned forward. "Is it personal?" Danil hesitated. "Maybe. But isn't that the point of peace?" They didn't answer. Meanwhile, Alari returned to her ship. Her people were also uneasy. She had shown emotion, touched a human's hand, smiled. That was not the Villari way. The High Speaker asked her, "Are you forgetting who you are?" Alari answered, "No, I am remembering something we lost." "What?" Wonder, choice, feeling. The High Speaker looked disappointed. "We studied humans to learn, not to become like them." Alari replied softly, "Then maybe you studied the wrong things." Despite pressure from both sides, Danil and Alari kept meeting. Their talks became deeper, more personal. Danil told her about his childhood, about his sister who loved the stars but died young. He said that's why he joined the space program, to make her dream live on. Alari listened, truly. Listen, she didn't give answers. She just sat close and let silence speak. In return, Alari shared something rare, a memory stone from her world. Valari keep their memories in crystals, like diaries made of light. She gave Danil one. When he touched it, he saw her first sunrise, her training, and even the moment she first saw Earth. He looked at her after it ended. Why give me this? Alari said, because I trust you. That was not normal for Valari. One evening, they sat alone in the observation room of the station. Stars filled the black sky beyond the glass. Earth hung below like a blue lantern. Danil looked at Alari and said, "You know, if I ever married, you'd be my first choice." He meant it as a soft joke, a way to say how special she was. He smiled, half embarrassed, but Alari didn't laugh. She turned toward him and said clearly, "Then I accept." Danil blinked. "Wait, what?" "I accept your offer," she said, as calm as ever. Danil sat frozen. "Alari, I didn't mean it I was joking." "On Valari," she said, "such words are sacred. We do not speak of union unless we mean it." Danil felt a strange mix of fear and wonder. "Are you saying you want to marry me?" Alari looked him in the eyes. "Yes, if the offer was true." "Then I say yes." Danil couldn't speak. His mind raced. This wasn't just a relationship, it was an event that could change everything. Politics, diplomacy, even war. But he also remembered something else, her smile. Her question, "Why do humans care?" His answer, "Because we don't just survive. We care." Danil took a deep breath. "Okay, let's figure this out together." And so began a new kind of problem. Not war, not fear, but something far more complicated. Love between worlds. The news spread faster than anyone expected. A human and a Valari engaged on Earth. The public was divided. Some people were excited. They called it a step toward peace and a sign of unity between species. Others were confused, even angry. "It's unnatural," they said. "How can love happen between two completely different kinds of beings?" In the Valari High Council, it was no different. Elders shook their heads. Some thought Alari had been affected by Earth's emotions. Others feared that her bond with Danil would weaken their image of logic and order. But Danil and Alari stayed calm. They continued to meet in the quiet observation room of the Earth orbit station, where no leaders shouted and no eyes judged them. One evening, as they sat together, Danil sighed. "Do you regret saying yes?" Alari looked at him softly. "No, I do not regret truth." Danil smiled, but deep inside, he felt the pressure building. Both their worlds were watching. Every word, every move was being studied. 3 days later, a new danger appeared, this time, not from space, but from within. A strange signal came from the asteroid belt. It wasn't human, and it wasn't Valari. It was something else unknown. Earth's space defense sent ships to investigate. One of them was the Vigilant Star, a fast response scout ship. Danil was asked to join, not as a soldier, but as a translator and cultural observer. Alari volunteered to come as well. The council hesitated, but agreed. "If these two are symbols of unity," one member said, "let them face the unknown together." The mission left quickly. Danil sat beside Alari in the ship, looking at the black space ahead. His hands trembled slightly. Alari noticed. "You are afraid." Danil laughed quietly. "Always, before something big." "Then you are honest," she said. "That is rare." The signal led them to a large, broken structure floating between two rocky moons. It looked ancient, like a ship but not built by any known species. Pieces of metal floated around it like frozen waves. Some parts still glowed with strange blue energy. As the crew explored, they found old writings on the walls, not in any known language. Danil tried to read the symbols, but they were too alien. Suddenly, something activated. A soft hum filled the ship. Lights came alive. Doors began to open. Alari stepped forward, scanning the patterns. "This place remembers," she whispered. Before Danil could ask what she meant, a beam of energy shot out, hitting the main power system of the Vigilant Star. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. The ship shook. "We're under attack," someone yelled. but no one saw an enemy. The station wasn't trying to kill, it was reacting. As if waking up, Danil ran to the control room. The computers were failing. He looked at Alari. "Can you stop it?" Alari touched the glowing wall. Her eyes closed. "I can speak to it." Danil didn't understand how, but she placed her hand on the ancient metal and began to speak in a strange, soft language. The glow dimmed. The shaking stopped. The crew stared in silence. Alari turned to Danil. This ship was not meant to destroy. It was left behind by something greater. Back on board the Vigilant Star, repairs began. The ship was safe for now, but something had changed. Danil asked her later. "How did you know what to say?" Alari replied, "I did not. I only felt. Your people taught me that." Danil laughed, feeling over logic. "You're becoming more human every day." She smiled gently. "Perhaps. Or perhaps humans are becoming more Velari." When they returned to the Earth orbit station, they were greeted with silence. The council members were not angry but concerned. A private meeting was held. One Earth ambassador said, "The mission was too dangerous. We should not have allowed it." A Velari elder added, "And Alari used emotional action instead of calculated decision. She acted as a human would." Alari stepped forward. Her voice was calm, but strong. "Yes, I used feeling. And because of that, no one died." The room went still. She looked at them all. "You watched humans because you feared their chaos. But maybe it is time you learn from it." Danil added, "We survive not because of rules, but because we adapt, we connect. That's what makes us strong." Some nodded slowly. Others remained cold. Later that night, Danil sat alone in his room, looking at Earth spinning below. The lights, the oceans, the clouds, everything looked small from up here. Alari entered quietly. She sat beside him. "Do you still want this?" Danil asked. Alari looked at him. "Yes, but I do not want it alone." Danil took her hand. "Then we face it together." And in that moment, their bond became stronger than any treaty. Not everyone supported them. Not every leader agreed. But something had changed. For the first time in history, a human and a Velari had risked everything not for power, but for each other. And somewhere deep in the stars, that ancient ship waited, its message not yet understood, its secret still hidden. But Danil and Alari were ready for the next challenge, together. The days after the ancient ship incident were tense. News of Danil and Alari's promise to marry had spread across both Earth and the Velari worlds. Every message, every meeting, every decision was watched with extra care. For Danil, the pressure was almost unbearable. He found himself asking the same question over and over. What have I done? He walked the corridors of the Earth orbit station late at night, the silence echoing his doubts. What if their union caused more harm than good? What if their worlds never accepted it? One evening, he found Alari sitting in the observation room. The stars were bright outside, but her face was unreadable. Danil sat beside her. "Do you regret accepting my words?" he asked softly. Alari turned to him, her silver eyes calm and deep. "No, I do not regret truth." But Danil hesitated. "On your world, what does this mean? Is this serious? Or did you accept as a joke?" Alari's voice was firm. "On Velari, words of union are not jokes. They are binding. They change everything." Danil swallowed hard. "So, you meant it, truly?" She nodded. Meanwhile, the Council of Velari gathered to discuss the situation. "We cannot allow union between species to weaken our laws," said one elder, his voice cold. "Yet she has chosen him," replied the High Speaker. "This is new and dangerous, but also a chance." Another council member frowned. "A chance for what? Chaos?" The High Speaker looked at the starry window, thoughtful. "Perhaps a chance to learn what our logic cannot teach." Back on Earth, diplomats argued too. "We must maintain order," one official said. "No marriage between human and alien can be allowed." "But what about peace?" another countered. "If they can unite, maybe so can our worlds." Danil and Alari were caught in the middle. Both worlds demanded answers. One day, Danil and Alari met with the Joint Council. The room was filled with humans and Velari, all watching carefully. A human diplomat started. Danil, Alari, what are your intentions? Are you prepared for the consequences? Danil looked at Alari. She nodded slightly. He took a deep breath. We want to build understanding, not just between us, but between all our people. We know it will be hard, but we believe it is worth trying. A Velari elder asked, how do you know this is not just emotion, something temporary? Alari spoke calmly, because it is not only emotion, it is respect, trust, and choice. The room was silent. Danil added, our differences are many, but so are our strengths. Together, we can face the unknown. Some members looked doubtful, others thoughtful. Days later, Danil and Alari returned to the observation room. They sat, quietly, watching Earth turn slowly below. Danil broke the silence. I never thought I would be here, with you, saying things like this. Alari smiled softly. Neither did I, but sometimes, truth is found where we least expect. Danil looked at her seriously. You know, if I ever married, you'd be my first choice. This time, his words were clear and honest. Alari's eyes shone. She reached out and took his hand. Then I accept. Danil's heart raced. The promise was no longer a joke. It was real, binding. He whispered, we will have to face much, but I believe we can. Alari squeezed his hand gently. Together, back in the council chambers, discussions continued, slowly. Some began to see that this union could be more than a problem, it could be a bridge. A Velari philosopher said, perhaps it is time to allow choice, not only order. A human leader added, if love can unite these two, maybe it can unite us all. The future was uncertain, but hope had begun to grow. The joint council chamber was cold and vast, filled with serious faces from both Earth and Velari worlds. The air was heavy with tension. Danil and Alari stood at the center, aware that their future, and maybe the future of two species, was being debated. A human senator spoke first. This union challenges centuries of tradition. It raises questions about loyalty, culture, and law. How can we be sure this is not a political move, or worse, a distraction? Danil's voice was steady. I am no politician. I am a linguist, a listener. I am here because I see something real, trust and respect between Alari and me. Alari added, I'm Velari. Marriage is not just a contract. It is a sacred bond. I have given my word, and I intend to keep it. The room murmured. The Velari Elder Council spoke next. An elder with long silver hair and deep eyes addressed the chamber. The Velari people value logic above all. Emotions have clouded judgment before. Yet this bond between Danil and Alari shows something new, understanding that comes from empathy. He paused. But we must ask, does love weaken the mind or strengthen it? Alari replied, love is not weakness. It is a force that binds, teaches, and strengthens. Danil nodded. Humans survive through connection. It is our strength. Without it, we are lost. The council debated for hours. Arguments filled the room, some supporting the union, others warning of risks. Outside, crowds gathered. Some chanted for peace and acceptance. Others protested, fearing change. Danil and Alari stayed strong. They knew this was bigger than themselves. Their bond was a symbol of hope for a future, where two very different worlds could learn to walk together. One afternoon, Danil sat with Alari in the garden dome of the station. The dome was filled with earth plants, green leaves, bright flowers, soft grass. He looked at her. Do you think they will accept us? Alari smiled softly. They will have to, because we will not give up. Danil reached out and took her hand. If I ever married, you be my first choice. Alari squeezed his hand. And I accept. The council finally reached a decision, not a full approval, but a recognition. They allowed a symbolic ceremony, a public promise between Danil and Alari to honor their bond and show unity. It was not yet legal marriage, but a step toward it. The ceremony would take place on Earth Orbit Station, with leaders, diplomats, and people from both species invited. Danil and Alari prepared with quiet hope and determination. On the day of the ceremony, the station was decorated with flags from Earth and Velari worlds. The air buzzed with anticipation. Danil wore a simple suit made of earth fabric. Alari chose flowing robes of silver and blue, embroidered with symbols of peace. As they stood before the assembly, Danil spoke first. I promise to listen, to respect, and to stand with Alari no matter what challenges we face. Alari followed. I promise to honor this bond, to share my world and my heart, and to learn from Danil and his people. When they exchanged rings, simple bands made from earth metals and Valari crystals. The room fell silent. Then applause. Some hesitant, some joyful. A new chapter had begun. Later, as the guests left, Danil and Alari stood together, looking out at the stars. Danil whispered, "This is only the beginning." Alari smiled. Together, we will show what love can do. And far away, in the depths of space, the ancient ship waited, its secrets ready to reveal themselves. The day of the ceremony arrived with calm but nervous excitement. The Earth orbit station was decorated with banners representing both human and Valari cultures. Soft music from Earth's old instruments mixed with the quiet melodies created by Valari crystal voices, filling the air with a peaceful harmony. Leaders from both worlds gathered in the main hall. Some wore formal suits, others wore flowing robes with symbols from their planets. Reporters floated with cameras, capturing every moment. The event was historic to different species coming together in a way no one had seen before. Danil stood quietly at one side, adjusting his simple blue suit. He was nervous but steady. Across the hall, Alari prepared in a room filled with soft light. Her silver robes shimmered with blue threads that looked like stars. She touched the small ring carefully, a band made from earth metal and Valari crystal, symbolizing unity and trust. As the ceremony began, a human diplomat stepped forward. Her voice was warm but formal. Today, we witness not only a union of two individuals but a bridge between two great civilizations. Their courage to trust and love each other brings hope for all of us. Then a Valari elder spoke softly. This promise is more than words. It is a step toward understanding, respect, and peace. Danil and Alari walked slowly to the center of the hall. Their eyes met briefly, sharing strength and calm. The ceremony was simple but full of meaning. Danil spoke first, his voice steady but full of emotion. I promise to listen, to respect, and to stand with Alari through all challenges. I choose her, not because she is different, but because she is true. Alari followed, her voice clear and calm. I promise to honor this bond, to share my world and my heart, and to learn from Danil and his people. In trust, we find strength. When they exchanged rings, the crowd held its breath. The rings glowed faintly, the crystal and metal joined by the power of their words. As they placed the rings on each other's fingers, a soft light filled the room. It was not magic, but something real, a sign that two worlds could come together in peace. Then applause filled the hall, some hesitant, some joyful. Tears appeared in some eyes. After the ceremony, Danil and Alari stood on the observation deck, looking out at Earth and the stars. Danil smiled softly. I never imagined this day. Alari looked at him. Neither did I, but sometimes the unknown is the greatest path. He took her hand gently. If I ever married, you'd be my first choice. She squeezed his hand. And I accept. In the days that followed, messages of hope and curiosity came from across the galaxy. People asked if this union could change everything, if two very different beings could truly walk together. Some still doubted, but many more believed in the power of choice, respect, and love. Danil and Alari knew their journey was only beginning. There would be challenges, laws to change, and fears to face. But together, they had shown the galaxy one important truth. Love and trust could be the strongest bridges between worlds. Years had passed since the ceremony on Earth Orbit Station. The promise Danil and Alari made had become more than a symbol. It was a living bond that helped shape a new future. They lived together on a small outpost called Haven, built between Earth and the Valari homeworld. Haven was a place where humans and Valari worked side by side, learning and growing. It was a test and a hope, a place where the two species could build something new. Danil and Alari's days were filled with work and discovery. Danil studied new languages and helped solve problems between the two peoples. Alari taught Velari how to understand human emotions better, sharing stories and songs. Their bond grew deeper. It was not always easy. Sometimes cultures clashed and old fears surfaced. But they faced these challenges together. One morning, Danil found Alari watching the stars quietly. "What are you thinking?" he asked softly. Alari smiled. "Of the first time we met. How small the stars looked then, and how big our worlds felt." Danil took her hand, and now, they seem closer. Because we walk the same path, news from other worlds reach. Haven, inspired by Danil and Alari's example, more humans and Velari were forming bonds, friendships, partnerships, even marriages. The old barriers were breaking, leaders saw the change, new treaties were signed, laws updated, and cooperation grew. Space exploration teams became mixed crews. Velari learned to appreciate unpredictability. Humans learned to respect order. One day, Danil received a message from Earth. His sister's old home was now part of a peace museum, a place that told the story of how humanity's strength was in hope and connection. He felt a quiet pride. His sister's dream had lived on in ways he never imagined. Alari, too, was recognized by her people. She became a teacher and ambassador, helping others understand that emotions were not weaknesses but gifts. Together, they traveled to distant stars, always learning, always teaching. Years later, Danil wrote a book titled "If I Ever Married, You'd Be My First Choice." It told the story of their journey, the fears they faced, and the hope they found. He dedicated it simply to Alari, who chose first. The book became a symbol of change, a story told on many worlds, reminding all that love and trust can cross any distance. On a clear night, Danil and Alari stood outside their home on Haven, looking at the sky filled with stars. Danil smiled. Who would have thought a simple sentence could change the galaxy? Alari laughed softly. Sometimes, the smallest words hold the greatest power. He took her hand. Together, we have shown the universe what it means to choose. And under the endless stars, they walked forward not just as two individuals, but as a beacon of hope for all. The end.